Good evening, everybody. I am Cantaloupe Me, and this is my submission for Nightmare on Elm Street single player, any percent for AGDQ 2020, preferably for the Awful Games block. Now, I know we did this in 2017 with the four players, and it's got a lot of hits on YouTube. It was well received, and there was a lot of stuff going on in that run. It was definitely a unique run, something that's never been done before, and we all practiced solo together for it. And then the first time all four of us got to play was in the practice room midweek. So, but this right here is I had a lot of influence into routing this game into what the route is now. I had two others who were involved at the beginning too, before I even got involved. The Strawl and Rayquaza 911. We were like the first three to even take this game seriously. And over the years, we found a lot of new tricks. We know how to manipulate the start to get the perfect house order. We luckily got it in the GDQ run in 2017 for the four players, but for one player, we can do it every time. So, but the thing with this run, this PB is 1609. I recently got this a couple months ago when I came back to the game briefly. It's just 9 seconds off the record, which, I will go back and get at one point. I'm just not in a gigantic hurry. But this game does have a lot going on at all times. It's probably one of the better LJN produced games on the NES. The soundtrack, you'll hear some sounds from Battletoads and Snake Rattle and Roll. David Wise had a big hand because this game was actually made by Rare. It was just produced by LJN as they did many things. But the bone routing in the game, everything is pretty much in our way. We just have to go out of the way for a few of the bones. And it goes really fast, as you see. I mean, just the time talking about this game, we're almost done with the second house. There's a lot less lag than what we had in the four-player run. And, it was really hard to showcase the speed of the game, but, the novelty of the four-player run was great. And, we had a blast doing it. But this time I want to give this game a serious approach at it. Hence why I am submitting it for this GDQ. Yeah, but the first three houses, if you don't do the manipulation, which is basically holding start on the first frame you can until the game loads. It's different for front loader NESs to top loaders. But even if the manipulation failed on the marathon run, it wouldn't be catastrophic at all. I would incorporate that into the estimate if I, when I do the typing submissions for it. My estimate for this game, 19 minutes, maybe 20 if everything went wrong. So I'd say 19:30 would be the safest estimate. A couple minutes over the PB. But this is another one. This is my second longest speedrunning game that I've ran. I started this in mid-summer of 2014. So I've been running this slightly longer than Zelda 1, just not currently. We found new things. I come back for them, and then once I get them, I just, wait until, new things till we find some new things. The kill I do on this boss right here is, very fast mashing. The cool thing about this game, when you're in a hitbox of the enemy, which that hitbox is gigantic, you don't have an animation for your javelin, so you can, as fast as you can mash, you can damage him. And if he gives you that pattern, we call that the God Hand. It's a little difficult to do, but I've been able to do it many times. The overworld section here has 0 RNG. Other than the house order that we manipulate, there's only a couple RNG elements on the bosses. Other than that, there is very little RNG to even do in this game. It's very fast paced. There's always something going on, which for a game that's 16 minutes long, it's important, to have something else going on, always going on so you can stay focused. Our 4-player run was 10 minutes slower than this, but you have to remember it went from, 60 frames a second down to like 8 in some parts. You get a little bit of lag on one player, but it's all very manageable. There is zero possibility of falling asleep on this run. There's a mechanic in the game that you can fall asleep. It happened to us a couple times for the 4-player run, which brought the donation incentive to, sing the song. But in 1 player, it's just not going to happen. It would be very difficult. I would have to force that to happen for it to happen, which I would for charity. And there's a section in the next house that we go in that, I can easily do that. Unless I go too fast. I screwed up this fight pretty bad. That fight right there is what kept me from getting world record on this run. But that was probably the worst element. I mean, the beginning was iffy too, but that was just minor RNG. But this can be beat deathless. But the PB is not deathless. There is a couple deaths, but you only get 4 hits per life, and this game can literally, the bosses are usually where you're going to die. And there's water drops in the stages after this. It will just, they don't have any rhyme or reason. They will just touch you on the head for, even if you wait, it will wait till you go under it before it drops it. But one other bit of tech that you'll see in the basement, when we did this in the 4-player run for the boss skips, it did take us some time to set it up, because all 4 of us had to get on that pixel. Well, this time it's just me. I only have to get on that pixel. So it's not going to be very time consuming. It's going to go really quick. But this boss fight, the bat that you just saw, have 0 RNG. It's the same pattern every time. If you execute and do the thing, they die. But this is, the records changed a couple times, but right now I Love Mario has it. It's just 9 seconds faster than this. But there's been a lot of time put into this game to find the best routing for the bones. There is a way to, we call it the task bone, to get in. I do go for it, but I don't chase it, which is coming up right here. Not that, obviously, but these 2 bones here, I try to grab that right there. But you can grab both those from below, but they're sub-pixel influenced and frame perfect and all that fun stuff. And if you miss it, you're just wasting time then going to get them normally. So usually, if we don't get that first one, we just go for it. And these jump through the ceilings here, they're buffer jumps. They work every time. They're only faster sometimes. Most times just for swag. This is probably the most difficult house of the game because of these water droplets. And you don't want to take damage as much as you can because, see, that's not your power meter up there. That's your Z meter. And the more hits, 4 hits and you die anyway. But your Z meter goes down when you're not moving, when you get hit. So obviously you want to keep moving at all times. So, and I can't remember if I get the coffee or not here. But if I were doing a thing trying not to fall asleep, this coffee over here, I would skip it. It saves like half a second not getting it. So it's really not worth skipping unless, You can guarantee it. Platforms are all on global time, not global timers. They don't spawn until they don't start going up or down until they spawn on the screen. So platforms are going to be in the same place every time. And these enemies they will do the same thing unless that happens, and then you get some wonkiness on the way back. But all the enemies are based on when they appear on screen except for the bosses. But I really hope you all do consider this. I would love to demonstrate how fast a one-player run can be. The four-player was fun for the appeal, and it was, like I said, received very well. It's gotten six-figure hits on YouTube as well. But this will be a much faster run and a bigger skill of execution involved, other than all of us just trying to defeat lag, because we did what we could. Yeah, but the boss skips at the end of the game, sort of funny how they were found. I'll tell the quick story while we go through this. Before I even got into this game, the Strawl, who ran this game, long before I got involved, he accidentally spawned an extra boss. And we just thought, okay, game's glitching, no big deal. This boss fight right here is the toughest one in the game. You have to fight two at the same time. And that was a critical hit, I believe, taking damage on the same frame, hence why the hand just died. We haven't proven critical hits to work, but it's happened a couple times. But it just seems to work right there. But anyway, on the boss skips coming up. And then a couple years, it was like 3 years later, Rayquaza skipped the boss. And I got home that evening from work, plugged in the game, and figured out how to do it. And then Jam Eviler, who was with us on the four-player, run that we did at AGDQ 2017, he found some of the setups. The Straw came up with setups. I came up with setups, so it was a community effort to get the boss skips going to where they are now. They were fairly new whenever we did the four-player, but now since they've been out for a bit, setups are a lot more consistent and a lot faster, as you'll see once we get to the basement. But this is, this is one of the games I poured my soul into too. As with Zelda 1, I don't have almost 1,000 completions in this, but, I've played through this game about 150 times. And who in their right mind can say they've done that? I do still hold the four-player record with our AGDQ run, by the way. And then also the two-player record, JSR and I actually got that in June when I was at his house. So, we've done this as co-op in the past, but like I said, for this submission, I really want to do this one solo and demonstrate just how good this bad game actually is. It's really not that bad. I mean, it really flows. And this is the basement, probably one of the hardest parts of the run that doesn't involve a boss, because these water droplets are 100% random. So you don't know when they're going to spawn, when they're not. You just roll with it and grab it as you can. See, we got trolled right there. But it's all small time losses, especially if you die towards the top of the screen. So, I'm very confident in my ability to be able to perform, really well in this game, as much as I've ran it and routed it over the years. I hope you all do consider this for submission. Even though, like I said, it's been a couple years, about 3 years since we did it, but one player, as you see, is so much different than the cluster of 4 players. And here comes the boss rush. Now, years ago, we'd be fighting all the bosses and we'd be going for, a sub 17. But once the boss skips became a thing, it was really great. You just stop on a pixel, walk back a couple frames, and walk forward. That's all you gotta do. And we hit them all pretty fast in this. The setups are a lot more consistent now. That one was probably the longest one. That one was a little long too, but as you can see, they're very consistent. And that one's an easier one. So if we would hit the other ones faster, this probably could have been a record. But very easy PB. And your standard 1 cycle Freddy. And done. 1609. But, I definitely want to thank you all for taking the time out to watch this. And hopefully you consider it for AGDQ 2020. And, let's rock Orlando out the right way. So, thank you all for watching, and have yourselves a wonderful day.